Yeah,
like
most people.
backlining.
I the reason I have that list is most almost literally everyone I've ever coached don't know how to do any of those things.
Mhm.
So, it, don't beat yourself up. Again, I coach players much higher ranked than you that also have to teach the same things, man.
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, it's not like a great place of going to learn those things.
Mhm.
At least not all in the same place. So a bunch of information gets scattered, you know. So there's two different ways we can do this as like a first lesson. We
Mhm.
could do a general lesson where we kind of talk about. I pick out each one of those concepts as they come up, and you can kind of get an introduction to all those concepts in this lesson. Or we could just jump right into specifically going over one of those concepts, so we can start that drill and start working on them.
Um, I've got a lot of I guess kind of got a lot of free time now, so I can probably do a lot of like the drills actually if I just have nowhere to start. I don't know where to start with any of this.
Yeah. So I guess here we'll do. So we have 30 minutes. Let's do 15 minutes of me just going over different things I'm
Mhm.
saying, and then we'll do 15 minutes of one of teaching you one of the drills. Okay. All
No, no problem.
right. So you're in lane against Volibear. Do
Mhm.
you think you beat Volibear?
Um,
Actually, don't even tell me because your runes should tell me.
no.
So you have revitalize. So you have additional shield and you have second wind. So you actually have like a pretty chilled out um, rune set here, where you're not really being that aggressive with your runes, which
Mhm.
is fine. And then, but you also have Doran's Blade, which should show me that you think you'll have priority in this lane, and you think you'll be able to continuously auto attack the minions to regain health.
Right.
So that's what your runes and the items you built tell me,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Right.
Now, the way you play should reflect what your runes and your items are telling me. So if you start playing this game and you're not the one continuously being able to control the lane, push and apply pressure, and use your Doran's Blade, then that's
Mhm.
gonna be a problem, right?
Right.
And that should also means naturally, if that's your plan, and that's why you built these items, then
Mhm.
you should be very aware of opportunities because Volibear is very good for setting up ganks, and you're
Mhm.
intentionally, or you should be pushing. And so again, if your items and your runes made sense for like the way you were thinking about the game, those things would never be a surprise because you're doing it on purpose, you know.
Mhm.
So this is what I'm talking about right now is a little bit of laning game plans, right?
Right.
Um, and that's why I said the runes and stuff will eventually matter. But for now, I'd rather whatever you are generally gonna do, I want that to be on purpose, you know. Build these items with a purpose, play the game with a purpose.
Mhm.
All right. So this is the first combat, and so immediate thing I'm looking for. I love that you use your health potion, by the way. That's really good.
Mhm.
Um, is your whether you're kiting. Now that you're already fighting level one. I wanted to be able to check out your kiting. So you attack him, and you pull him into you. So right here, you notice you didn't kite at all. You didn't move a single inch after you hit
Mhm.
him on that first punch.
Right. I
Now
noticed
here
that.
you moved. So you actually are kiting out here, which I like for sure.
I think I die here.
I do. So,
Yeah. I think. I don't remember. No, not
now,
here. It was
how many minions does it take to hit level two?
7.
Hey Toji. All right, let's see whether the way you play reflects your knowledge.
Two first, I believe.
Now, you can already see what I was
Mhm.
talking about playing in effect, where because of this early fight,
Mhm.
you're. Oh, by the way, there's something I should have mentioned earlier was
Mhm.
you're along with what items you take and what runes you take, what summoner take is a very big deal too. If you take teleport, you either think you don't need this teleport to win this lane, and you want to like utilize it to go in other lanes,
Right.
or your intention is to split push, and you want to make sure you can split push uh, to win the game, which would mean that you think you can out split push the Volibear and push him for the entire game,
Right.
or you're just taking it because you took it. The only other reason to take it is if you think the lane's so damn bad that you're gonna need teleport to get back in the lane. But that wouldn't really make sense with you building a Doran's Blade.
True.
That makes sense? Like, those things wouldn't correlate. So the only real reason it would make sense for you to have teleport in this game specifically would be if, or based on your items in this game, would be if you intend on teleporting to other lanes.
Mhm.
And so, what I was going to get into was that you can already see you're not going to have the priority in this lane unless you kill this guy, like, right now. In which case, you're already not using your Doran's Blade. You're already not healing. And you're all of a sudden, your runes don't make any sense already. Or your item doesn't make any sense already.
I should have went D shield then.
Well, I wouldn't say that. What I'm saying is based on what I'm watching, the way you played and what happened, then you probably should have had a different defensive rune. And naturally, when we do get to the point where I teach you initial or items for your matchups, I will naturally have you go on the more defensive side. And then once you think, oh man, this was too easy, I didn't really need teleport, or oh, I didn't really need revitalize, then you can go more and more offensive. But I normally err on the side of going defensive at first.
Okay.
Alright, so unfortunately you're down a minion, right? And so, and you're losing, and so he's gonna hit level 2, and we're not gonna be able to beat him, right?
Right.
Which means we have to chill back in the far back. Because anytime you would hit the wave right now, you're doing the opposite of the wave management you would want. Because you are encouraging the lane to either stay even or start pushing, and you don't win, so why would you want the lane to push? Right? So I'm not sure why you're even up here. You should just be chilling. Unless you think he's going to literally AFK and let you hit level 2 first.
Okay.
Which he almost did. He actually almost did. That's... Wait. Couldn't you have, like, clapped him?
Right there.
You didn't take your ability fast enough.
No.
But you actually hit level 2 when you pulled him. I'm surprised you didn't take your ability and use it. Like, don't you... There's no way you lose. So I think this is definitely a missed opportunity. How much health does the Volibear have right now?
He has, I believe, a little bit over 200.
Actually, a little bit less than 200. So, you know, this little dash is at 100 health, right?
Right.
And we don't see a second one, so he has 200 or less, right?
Okay.
And so you have to just ask, and you have to just ask yourself, can I do 200? Can I do 200 damage?
Right.
And we have Conquer activated, and we have a second ability.
Give me a second.
Okay. That's what I'm getting at, James. This would be another way, but this can get flashed and he can get outplayed with the W. Whereas this is just like just point and click. And it's not like this guy can't heal because he's not currently marked from the first W. So he's not gaining any health anytime soon, and he would have to deal 400 damage before we can do 200 damage with our ability. Now he's gonna get this little stun off, right? But that's a 1 second stun. He's not doing 400 damage in this stun, and it only gives him 20 bonus damage on the Q or off his auto attack. Yeah. So I was just talking to the chat. So this has to do with a concept called Sing Lethal, which is something I'll eventually teach you as well.
Right.
But your opponent has less than 200 health. You have an auto attack reset and a bonus damage on your Q. So you're gonna auto him for probably like 70. And then you're gonna auto Q. You're gonna use your Q for I don't know, like 90 something. And so he's gonna be 1 HP away from, or like 1 attack away from dying, right? And he's not gonna be able to heal because he's not gonna be able to get this off twice in that time, right? So the only thing he could really do is stun you and then probably flash away. So there's no chance this guy can kill you, and there's a very realistic chance you can kill him.
Right.
So this is just a missed opportunity of you not understanding your damage capabilities.
Mhm.
We can actually see exactly how much damage you would do. I mean, I could use a calculator, but you can actually just see it in game right here. Because after you pull them, you're gonna hit him with an auto attack, and let's see how much damage it does. It did like 90, which I'm not sure how it did 90. Oh, it's still this. Okay. But then you ran away. Oh, it was because you're passive, right? Yeah. Okay. It was the right button. I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah. So now you have Conquer. You have an auto attack reset passive, and he has less than 200 HP, man. See what I mean?
Mhm.
So this is the concept called seeing lethal, where you just need to really understand like what's your burst capability, right? Level 2, what's my burst? Level 3, what's my burst? Level 6, what's my burst? You should know those numbers, because they're almost always gonna be the same every single game. So this guy's a dead man,
Mhm.
and you run away, and that's a problem, right? He's like still a dead man right now. Now, for example, here you took um, W, and I was just telling the chat the same thing. The issue with W is that W can get flashed, and then he has counterplay there, right?
Right.
Like for example, if you flash auto, and then he walks away. Let's say you flash auto, and he W'd you, and you try to use your W, and he flashes behind you, auto stuns you with his Q. He might have a chance of getting that second W off, and then it gets real awkward, right?
Right. Right.
That has to do with. So that's a good example of me talking about sequencing. Like, so we've already talked about kiting, sequencing, wave management, and builds already.
Mhm.
So that's your next little hint there. But I'm pretty sure he's still dead. If you just took Q instead of W, he's guaranteed dead. I don't think he's guaranteed dead with you just auto attacking him and not using. You'd have to wait for him to use his flash, or you'd have to scare him to flashing away from you so that you could flash at him aggressively and then use the W. But here you actually go for it. Oh, you said you thought you died here.
No, I think one of them he flashed out of the bush or something like that, and he killed me.
Yeah.
I think
So
right after this.
I like that you killed this guy. It's just you had a pretty much guaranteed way of killing him earlier, and you can learn from his mistake here too. Because number one, he took um
E.
yeah, he took his E, and then he doesn't actually flash. Like if you don't get hit by stuff then flash, just flash the ability. That's a really good lesson to learn. Like don't get hit by Ash alt, almost die and then flash. Just flash the alt. You know. Like if Volibear was running at you and he was obviously about to stun you because you can see the animation, and you know that if he stuns me here, he's gonna beat my ass and then I'm gonna have to flash. To just flash away from him before he stuns you. That makes sense.
Makes sense. A lot of minion damage.
No, you're fine. Now the issue here is that this is a natural time to be ganked around 235 to 250,
Mhm.
and you don't give a crap. Like you're literally walking forward when this is a very like this is not a surprise. Like, you get ganked at this time literally every game,
Yeah.
and you have no HP and no flash. This is what I mean by if you play the game a lot. You've played the game for years, but you've not like committed to memory that the recurring events that happen like almost every game, or else you'd never do this. This doesn't make any sense if you're like, okay, I'm gonna play the game understanding this is the time I get ganked. This is the time I hit level 2. This is the time I hit level 6. This is how much damage at level 2. If you just had those in your mind, you would never make this mistake. Like this would never what you're doing right now would never happen. You would either go ward, which still isn't technically safe because it's Kha'Zix and you could just jump and then flash and there's no way you get away. Um, so you would understand that right here you just have to back. You have to back or ward and try to outplay him if he comes.
Hmm.
So right there, you didn't get punished for it in this game, but I guarantee like the fact that you even did that shows me that you died to ganks because that you were just begging to die right there.
Right.
All right, so there's our 15 minutes of general things.
Mhm.
I think you actually did fine with the kiting, and so I think let's talk about laning or initial back timing, which I actually also call like the four events of laning. So it's something for you to like actively work on. Okay. So the four events of laning are going to be hitting level 2, surviving the gank or setting up a gank,
Right.
your back timing, and then level 6. So level 2, gank, back, 6.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
So
Interesting.
the first event.
Give me one.
Okay. What up, James? And yes, it is. It definitely is the time that cause it comes out of nowhere. And out of nowhere, by out of nowhere, I mean comes directly from where I expected him to be.
Sorry about that.
No problem. All right. So, for offensive laning, level 2. So every single game, when you go in the lane, I want you to think. Actually, basically, literally every game, I want your objective to be to hit level 2 before your opponent. Okay.
Hit level 2 first.
Yes. Your mic got really low again. I have to turn you up.
I'm sorry. It went to the top there. Um.
Hold on.
You still right?
I'm just trying to turn you up. You're good.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
All right. So yeah, every single game, I want you to go in the lane with the intention of hitting level 2 before your opponent. This isn't technically true. In this case, we are trying not to abuse players at lower ranks. Because in some lanes, you shouldn't be able to hit level 2 first, but most of the time, they'll let you. So generally, I want you to try to go for level 2 first, unless you think there's literally no chance. Or if you think, even if you hit level 2, you still lose. And so our objective is going to be to hit level 2. In which case, that just means I need you to go in lane and have the intention of hitting the wave and getting a CS advantage above your opponent. So this has to do with wave manipulation a little bit, right? And so you go walk in the lane, you start hitting the minion. You might use your ability on the minions. Now, not if you go Sett with your E, you wouldn't use this because it's a really long cooldown. But you're gonna walk in the lane. You're just gonna keep autoing minions until you're confident you're gonna hit level 2 first. Okay. I have notes for this. I'll send you them. So
Okay.
once you're confident you're gonna hit level 2 first, you immediately stop trying to hit the minions, and your objective becomes to slow push the wave, or to fight your opponent. Right. So because the issue is if you know that you're gonna hit level, like once you are pushing, your wave's naturally gonna keep pushing, right? And so if we keep pushing, just push, and then we hit level 2 right here, where our opponent is already at their safety, right? Because they're gonna be under the tower, which means we can't even use our advantage. And the general principle in League of Legends is that once you have an advantage, you want your opponent's distance to safety to be as far as possible. So ideally, you'd have your wave frozen over here, and you'd have an advantage. That way, you have the highest possibility of killing them, right?
Right.
The only time that's not true is if you are confident you can get the tower. If you can just take tower plates and get a tower, like that's definitely better than maybe getting a kill.
Right.
And then, or if you needed priority to go like roam to your teammates, or teleport. That'd be the only other real reason to push. Generally, most of the time in League, you actually do want to freeze on your side. Because if you're, imagine the opposite. If you're behind, it's the same thing. If you're behind, you still want to be near your safety. So at a higher level of play, both players normally want the wave to be near their tower in like 90% of cases. Now, for a long time though, your opponents don't actually know what they're doing, and so you will probably be able to do whatever you want with the wave, and they won't really understand what's happening. So we can just abuse that until you start playing against higher level opponents.
Right.
So anyway, so that what that means for you is that once you're confident you'll hit level 2, you're going to stop hitting the wave because we don't want it to get too. You don't want them to get close to their safety, right? And so you stop hitting the wave, and you start trying to trade with your opponent if they allow you to fight them. So let's say this guy was going to last hit a minion right here. I'd walk up and auto him and then walk into the bush. Unless I think I could just kill him there. But the point is, we're okay with losing health, so long as they lose health. Because if we're going to hit level 2 first,
Right.
we want to increase the possibility we kill them at level 2. Right? So let's say we know our level 2 burst is, I don't know, like 270 damage-ish. And that's just a random number. If we are currently 400 HP, and they are 400 HP, and we're confident we're gonna hit level 2 first, then we're okay with us going down to 250 HP, so long as they do too. Because the moment we hit level 2, they're dead. That makes sense?
Yep.
That's what kill threat's all about. Like, you just have to know how much damage you can do, and then you bring them down to where you're gonna be, right? Actually, I'm gonna go show something.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Generally, I would suggest that you take Ignite, because then that means level 2 you have 90 additional damage, which most people don't account for.
Okay, so I should be taking that instead of teleport.
You could try it. You could pick whether you want to. Whatever you're currently doing, you're doing teleport right now, most of the time. For now, let's keep you with teleport, but we might change it later.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, be confident you're level 2 first. Then trade with your opponent, and only last hit the minions. Now, here's the real important part. Upon hitting level 2, you need to be on their ass. Like, you don't want to hit level 2 then run at them. You want to be on them and hit level 2 at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if that means you have to not last hit the minion to hit, that's going to get you level 2, then don't last hit it. Just run past it.
Mm-hmm.
The only real thing to be worried about here is that you don't want to start hitting your opponent before that minion dies. Because when you hit your opponent, you'll draw the aggro, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you draw the aggro, then that minion won't die, and so you'll look like a doofus because you'll stay level 1 in that fight. So you have to be like real confident that minion is gonna die right before you attack them. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And naturally, because what I'm advising you to do here is to push your initial wave and to fight, naturally you're gonna end up in situations where you're lower health, and where your wave is pushing at this point, right? Which means
Right.
the counter that we're normally gonna run into is going to be the jungle. And so we have to be very aware that we need a ward. Let's just have you ward at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so naturally, I want you to ward around 2 minutes 30. Now, where you ward is gonna be, it's almost always gonna be here, to be honest, because warding here normally isn't gonna give you enough time, especially against like a champion like Volibear. Like, if you saw the guy here, Volibear's gonna run and stun you, and you seeing him here wasn't very useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to be able to see people from further away. Now,
Right.
and most of the time they're not gonna come from this direction, but that's kind of like the gamble you have to take. You have to ward one of those locations, right?
It never it depends on where it comes from. That.
Now, if you want to make it a little bit of a flex, that's when you ward here, so that you can see the moment they come out of this bush, and you can still see a little bit in this direction.
Oh, so it covers both places.
Yeah, so you get a little bit of both. That's the safer way of doing it. If you watch your replays enough that you notice that like no one ever does this, then you don't really have to do this. That has to do with your meta. Like, my meta at my rank is going to be different than your meta at your rank, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you keep watching your games and no one ever goes this way, then I'd rather you use your ward in a location that's better for you. That's why general. Yeah, well, it's gonna seem random until you actually analyze it, right? It's not random. It's random if you look at things from like a 3-game perspective. It's not random if you document that in your next 100 games. Then it's just statistics. Right. It's just probability at that point. It's not random anymore, right?
Mhm.
And so that's what I mean by I don't want you to generally just watch replays and copy people. I want you to understand your games, because
Yeah.
that's why general advice like this for this kind of stuff doesn't really work. Because
Mhm.
unless I'm another silver player, I'm not gonna have the same meta as you, right?
That's true.
And so what's correct for me could very easily not be correct for you, or at least not optimal. I can tell you the idea you need to have, but you have to apply that idea to your meta.